create a very good framework for lake transportation in Ghana. Like I said before, some national electrification projects in Montgomery, we used to have badges, especially in northern Ghana and Goa. And all those badges were actually being carried across through the lakes and the rivers. Until lake transport, it started, I think, with our independence. What we haven't been able to do is to attract private investment in that area. So most people have just left as a preserve of the state. Now, also when you say most of the perform around rivers and lakes, they are farmers. Only the most lake transport in New York, canoes in New York, boats in New York. They can't go anywhere. They can't go to school, they can't go to hospital. They simply are stuck in those communities across these rivers and water bodies. Until a lake transport, whether we like it or not, we must find a way to attract investment in that particular industry. When you say Jimakango we corner a BSc, I found things where recently we had an incident, a private boat. But a private boat, they carried so many things. And then it's and this one. Look, I say in that unfortunate one person died and several others were actually injured. And the Africa say they develop a ramp and walk on it so that you will find a way to deploy a better and modern modular ferry to that particular location. And one day it was actually a disaster in the making. When you say ferries, no, it will be in sea levels are not usually very favorable. Now, actually, so Ghana, like every other part of the world, is actually experiencing some climate changes. Until your water bodies will be break, water levels presently in Shedania. But as I explained earlier, almost be more without the requisite lake transport, they can't go anywhere. So even when water levels are not very high, ferry people they must work because some people are totally dependent on the crossing for their livelihood. So yesterday's incident on the Jimakango stretch of it, unfortunate as it is, it was actually a blessing because one time our vessel no in distress, they realized that the Navy was actually in the area. We said last time almost developed problems with the ferry until we had sent some equipment there to fix it. I believe that the Navy was there for some reason. So when they realized that the vessel or the ferry was in trouble and actually taking in water into its holds, they managed to rescue it and salvage all the persons in addition to the cargo that it was carrying. Don't forget, it was also the last voyage. And normally when it's that late, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised when you see passengers clamoring to carry just about everything, and everybody must be on board. Because what it means is that if you don't get on board, the next day you are stuck. So sometimes there are challenges with trying to control load lines when it's the last voyage. And I believe that yesterday, coupled with all these other factors which I've already alluded to, it actually was a near disaster and the ferry could easily have sunk. It actually was carrying about 500 passengers in addition to 3 trucks loaded with all types of cargo, including several tons of yak. So we thank God that we were able to salvage the vessel, the ferry, and that all the persons on board were actually brought ashore safely, and so also was the cargo. And I believe that His Excellency actually expressed his gratitude to Ghana Navy, and of course we thanked all the passengers too. But going forward, we will actually be introducing stricter safety measures. And of course we'll also be looking at finding some sort of investment so that at least we can procure additional ferries. I think the way to go will be to get so many ferries as to have them plying all routes, so that you see this idea of ownership and location will no longer be a challenge. If we're able to purchase maybe about 10, 12 of these ferries, then it means that there's flexibility and people who need them will use them. For example, when the Andamine Bridge was being refurbished, we deployed several water buses and additional ferries to that part because the bridge was closed and people had to use the ferries. So gradually we'll get to that level where we'll have that flexibility. And I think there were suggestions also yesterday that maybe the bridges are the way to go. That maybe the northern sector also requires some bridges, so that at least in the event that water levels are low or that there are no ferries, people at least have alternative routes of crossing. But for now, really, there are some very serious limitations in terms of alternatives. But you know also that the Eastern Corridor Road is actually currently under construction.
Right.
And when that road is fully implemented and constructed, at least it will also reduce the pressure on the ferries, at least for that part of the country. But yes, we do hope that we will attract the requisite investment to be able to develop that sector.
But I'm gradually in any assem no, gradually, but gradually in any year and any assem no, it's in the pipeline, it will flow. We know
if
at
we
least.
Didn't have at all, then that is another subject matter. We do have some, but I believe that there's room for additional funds.
Okay, so what happened to the ferry and not a Wasinchi? I'm right, you close the other bridge, and
I always tell people that these things are very, very complex. You know, we just can't go and board those ferries and bring them back. They are actually going to be decommissioned first, and then they are moved to the next point, and then they will have to be rebuilt again.
Wow. So
all these processes actually take time. The one thing that we use all the time are the water buses. And those water buses are there. But you see people want to travel with their trucks, they want to travel with their cargo. The water buses only take individuals, just a human being with your little bag or kids going to school and whatever. There is no space on those ones for trucks or cargo for that matter. So we still, by all means, need these ferries. So yes, we are working on decommissioning these existing ones and of course deploying them to areas where they need them. Their farm plains is one, the Yeji Makango route is one, and there are several other little areas that also require some ferry services, and we are working very, very hard. In fact, in our farm plains in particular, the challenge is that the modular ferry that is going to be deployed there requires a very big ramp to be able to go to that area. So we are working to develop and rebuild the ramp so that at least we can introduce the new service. So we are trying to, but these things don't happen overnight. Right. Sometimes it is good when you leave your studios and visit some of these places, and you actually help us with the public education too. So it would be nice for you to take a visit around this every now and again. It brings to the fore the sort of things that happen. It's a very, very technical process. You need to take it apart, you need to move it, and then you need to bring it back. Yeah, actually, by the time when His Excellency commissioned the refurbished bridge, he actually alluded to the fact that the existing ones will be deployed to the areas where they need it, because places within the Adoni area would no longer be requiring the ferry or the water buses for that.
Okay. I went to the emitter, especially in Shiosu the Amifa. Let me ask you the final question. Now, for me, activity phone line pick just 5 calls. You're sure set for better questions at the amount. Or share safety on our water bodies and Fatian and Koye. A ban road accident, a day and a campaign about you. But what happened to these water bodies? Yana and Koye cry, and Tishi as a ministry.
Oh, we do a lot. Oh, the council minister, former minister, Honorable Party, although she had made it her actually her private ambition, or to chair safety jackets in Yoma. But you see, sometimes even we ourselves, passengers, are a challenge. A lot of them don't even want to use these safety jackets, first and foremost. Secondly, sometimes because they're in a hurry, when you say ferry, you need a bar. It is timed. And then you will turn around and come back. You will go in the afternoon, you turn around and come back. Sometimes because people are in a hurry, they don't want to wait the extra hours. They will take the private canoes and take the private ones that honestly are not within our purview and we have no control over. And you know, when these accidents occur, the numbers are huge because they usually carry several people and several other things. Just imagine a ferry that is carrying all these trucks as well as human beings, and then it goes aground. Very few salvo activities take place this side of the world because it costs a lot to have a salvage vessel just standing by and doing nothing. So our good luck is that in recent times, government has fully resourced the Ghana Navy with additional speedboats. So it has made their patrol duties even more effective and efficient. So at the very shortest notice, they are able to deploy to a particular catchment area to at least save the situation. But we still have quite a number of challenges. But I always say it is all about education. You see, when you live by the river or by the lake or by the sea, you tend to have a very good relationship with it because you tend to swim all the time. You spend quite a bit of time around it. So the sort of fear that other people have for water, you might not. So you see a very little boat and you think, well, it's okay, you cross like that. But in fact, fisher folk do it all the time. It's really no big deal. But if the load lines are not good, if the luggage is not well balanced, if water levels are low, you are bound to enter into some distress.
Wow.
And if help doesn't come timelessly, then you have challenges. Passengers must also be conscious of their own safety. When you see that the ferry, the boat you're coming is carrying too many things, there is safety first, and you must refuse to board such a ferry or such a cargo. And how long will it take us to get to that point? Because people can see that this canoe probably is not well balanced. It's tilted to one side or the other. But the idea to stop it or not board it is always a challenge. And in terms of education, the Ghana Maritime Authority, the Ghana Navy, even the police now have a maritime unit. They make quite an effort in terms of education and sensitization. But I'm telling you, survival is always the main concern for most of our colleagues, and that's usually the challenge.
Mate, Mrs. Joyce Bawah Mogtari, Deputy Minister Transport, and I'm in a train command. So I'm activity phone lines now. You pick a few calls.